Turner from the belt to the plate. A swing and a miss, and that's the winner. That's the winner. A World Series winner for the Cardinals. Smith corks one into right down the line. It may go. Go crazy, folks. Go crazy. It's a home run, and the Cardinals have won the game by the score of 3-2 on a home run by the Wizard. Go crazy. Swinging a long one into left field. Adios, goodbye, and maybe that's the winner. A 3-run homer by Clark, and the Cardinals lead by the score of 7-5, and they may go to the World Series on that one, folks.
What a team. What a ride. The Cardinals are world champs in 2011.
He has homered against Rogers. He's 3 for 5. The first pitch to him. Albert into deep left center. Oh my goodness! Way out of here! 3-run bomb. His second of the day. 689. It's awesome to have number 5 back home.
And what a great moment here at Busch Stadium. Albert has provided so many over the years, but apparently he's not done.
Oh, he's not done.
His second home run of the day, and soon to be his second curtain call.
Albert Pujols, sensational!
Welcome to That's a Winner podcast. I am Ryan Jenkins. With me, as always, is Josh Brown. Josh, we just started off straight away with Albert Pujols and his big day yesterday, and I cannot. You were there, but I'll let you talk about it. But I cannot remember a time he has ever shown so much emotion after hitting a home run or after any hit. Really, he was just so jacked up. But go ahead, tell us about the crowd and everything that was going on during the game.
42 years young, huh? I mean, dude, it was epic. And I don't think I haven't heard Busch that loud since a playoff game. I mean, it was like that, and it felt like a playoff game to begin with. But when he hit that second one, man, it was just a no doubter as soon as it hit, the ball hit the bat. And I mean, on your feet, hands in the air, like people were like you could hear like it was just a bomb. And yeah, I didn't see how animated he was at first, because everybody, you're watching the ball, like, where's it gonna land? And then he comes around, I see him kind of, high five Goldie in them, and him and Yachty get a big pumped up hug. But then they always show the replay on the big screen at the game, and you saw that where he was just kind of like the Superman, like, pretty much like it's over, and yeah, I haven't seen that. I mean, I was trying to even think back, like even when he hit the 3 home runs, in the World Series against the Rangers in Texas.
In a blowout.
Yeah, in a blowout. I mean, he's always kind of done the bat drop or the small
pose,
bat flip and kind of like point to the dugout. But he was like, he was fired up, dude. And it was rocking. It was rocking at Busch. And I told you, I felt like a 14-year-old kid again, prime Albert Pujols winning MVPs. I mean, it had that feeling. And everybody, when he hit the first one, people had their phones out. They were like trying to record that and get it. But that second time he came up, we wanted insurance runs. Everybody was still into the game, but nobody was expecting him or thinking he would do that again. And to hit that big, it was 443 feet.
Bomb.
Longest home run he's had by far this year.
Yes. So I think about it, and I wonder if it's the shock that got everyone. And I'm trying to think of a shocking moment, a shocking home run in Cardinals history that would be equivalent to that. And I think that's a big part of it, is it wasn't expected, because you already got one, right? Albert already hit one today, it was, and then all of a sudden he sends that, and you heard in Danny Mac's call that he was just hype himself.
Oh yeah.
He was ecstatic. He was shocked, I think, as well. And I can't find and think back of a type of home run like that in my fandom time. You think
not
about
during my lifetime.
Mark McGwire stuff, right? I think there was times you're like, holy smokes, he just did it again. And I think there was some surprise there. And maybe that's the only thing I can probably compare it to.
Yeah. Cardinals history, not so much, during our lifetime and when I was watching, but probably like Ozzie with the home run in the World Series or the NLCS or whatever it was.
Right. That'd be very shocking.
Yeah,
right?
He didn't ever hit many.
Yeah, he didn't hit very many at all. And that team didn't. Did you see the stats on that? I think that was during the game that they said that the 82 team, hit 63 home runs. I think I don't want
Wow.
to. It was in the 60s. It may have been 68. I don't want
And
to say.
still had guys over 100 RBIs.
Yeah, they had 60 some odd home runs as a team,
Yeah.
and possibly Goldie and Arenado will have that together.
Oh, yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
and so those guys did that, and that. So you're talking about Ozzie didn't hit very many home runs. The team didn't hit very many
Right.
home runs. So I could see that as a shocking.
There's one for me now that I think about it comes to mind. When we played the Dodgers in a couple of those playoff series, like, what was it, like 13, 14, 15,
Yeah,
somewhere around there. It might have been 14. It was a year after Wong, had the rough
yeah,
pick off in the World Series, and it was him. I was at the game. It was, I don't think it was Kershaw pitching, but it might have been like game 2 or 3, but very close game. It was like we were, tied 1-1 most of the game. And it was the 7th or 8th inning, and he just launched like a bomb down right field line. We wound up winning 2-1. It was like a game-winning run.
okay,
But it kind of similar. Like he don't even think he cracked double-digit home runs that year.
right.
It was just like, oh wow, that was the guy. And so I mean, but in terms of just the age, where this year's been for him and kind of being a platoon guy, mainly starting against lefties. I mean, he's had a multi-home run game this year, if you
Right.
remember, in
In
Pittsburgh
May, I think.
when we just obliterated the
Yeah.
Pirates. His second one, I think, was off a position player, and that was a
Yes.
fun game. And so, like that, you could see it's like, all right, leave him in, maybe he gets a couple more home runs. But this, I mean, and just it was so like poetic and great that it was off of this Rogers guy that they traded Hader for. Like he
Right.
was like the big piece that came back. Man, it was
But the
so
but the
good.
Padres obviously traded him for a reason, though,
Right.
right? But yeah. I think back to some of those home runs you talk about. The Matt Adams off Kershaw.
Oh yeah, that's a big
That
one.
I was at that game. I have an autographed glove and
Or the
batting
bases
glove.
clearing double with Carpenter in LA off of Kershaw is another big one.
Shocking, obviously.
Yeah.
David Freese
Oh yeah.
clearing the bases.
And then the walk
And then the
off.
walk-off home run. Those are two of the. But I think those were just different. I don't know. But we're comparing, if you think about it, that home run to big time playoff moments.
Yeah.
Oh, Oscar Tavares home run.
Yes.
In the playoffs.
Giants.
Yes.
Rain pouring down.
Yes.
Yeah.
Big home runs. So like we're comparing the shock and the feel in the crowd to huge moments in Cardinals histories, really,
Right.
of big time home runs. And that was a really fun time to be a fan.
Oh yeah.
I mean 04 to 15-ish was
Yeah.
just so much fun of
Playoff heroics.
Yeah.
Like just really good teams.
you always thought they had a chance.
Yeah.
Always. And so that's but you comparing that to Albert's home run tells you what it meant, and I think maybe that's why he felt the way that he did.
Yeah.
He was saying, "We're not giving up this game. We're going to take this game home." And obviously, it ended up being the winning runs were
Yeah.
the ones that he hit because they came. They got a home run in the 9th inning.
Yeah, Rowdy Tellez and that, for Helsley, I know his last couple outings he's given up some solo shots. LeMahieu last week, against New York randomly. I went back and watched that Tellez homer off of Helsley, and that was, I mean, it was a 93-mile-per-hour slider, low and in. It looked like a golf swing. If you go back and watch that clip, I don't know. I honestly don't know how Tellez hit it out. So it wasn't Helsley's fault.
He's been a little hot too.
Yeah, it wasn't a
Tellez.
bad pitch, but I mean, how important was Albert's home run then? That insurance. I mean, it was the game-winning hit, and I think that's what did it. You could feel the love. Like obviously, you knew he was going to get a standing O and the curtain call in the first one,
Right.
but so much of this, I think, was like it was like a statement from him. Even the whole, how animated he was with the Superman thing. It was almost like it's like, yeah, you think I'm done. I'm not done yet.
Yeah.
And I'm not, this isn't just one more ride around the block. Let me have fun. Kind of like with Jeter's last season. I'm just, he's like, no, I'm here to win a chance. Like I've missed the playoffs the last 10 years.
Right.
And I'm tired of it. And it's not even, and I honestly believe him when he says it's not about getting to 700. I really think it is like, I want a ring. I want one more ring this year. And that's what it felt like in that game. And it was awesome because we didn't really get much from Goldie and Arenado that game.
Right.
And so to have
someone had to do something.
To have some other players, and we can talk about O'Neill and Carlson who had some redemption in that game, huge home runs as well. But man, it was just, and that second curtain call, I mean, people were just going crazy. It was so fun.
Yes, I'm sad that I missed it. He asked me to go and I could not go. Disappointing. But Albert, has had big home runs in his life, as we talked about. Do you think this has been the hot topic of, well, he's going to get to 700 now?
Yeah.
I don't think there's any way that it happens. We're talking about every 4 to 5 at bats that he would have to hit one ish.
Yeah.
He would have to get then how many, if you do the math on that?
He'd have to start
a lot.
getting a lot more starts against righties, for
Right.
sure.
And
And he really hasn't hit them against righties this year.
but he has, I think now 11 home runs. Is that right?
10, I think.
10. Okay, 10 home
He's
runs.
at double digits for sure.
And I think it's 6 against lefties and 4 against righties.
Yeah.
So
That's more than I thought against righties.
Yeah, it's 4 against righties, but I think one of those righties may have been the
position player. Yeah.
And the one that he put up in against Milwaukee, I think that was like a moonshot. I think was a righty as well. But
Oh yeah, that was early on in the season in
Yeah.
Milwaukee. Yep.
so there was a couple that he had against righties, and 4 that he's gotten against them. But he just hasn't looked good. I think he's batting under 200 against righties, and he's now batting like 360 plus against lefties. So in theory, if to try and get there, or even catch A-Rod, which he's now 7 behind tying, why would teams pitch to him?
Right.
In that game, there's 2 on, right? So you're not going to put him on, and I don't remember.
When they could have changed pitchers at that point.
They could have.
He was past the 3-batter minimum. He already
Okay.
gave up the home run to get the lead to Carlson after the first out of the inning. So they could have switched pitchers, but they chose not to.
Yeah.
And that Matt Bush guy, who's another arm that they got, he had pitched the inning before and was just, quick and easy. Boom, 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 was throwing 99, blew everybody away. So I was a little surprised that they went to Rogers, and I got part of it because Nootbaar started off the inning. He was in the 9th spot. It's okay. You get lefty there, but they have to know. The second batter coming up is Carlson, and Carlson's hitting over 300 this year against lefties.
Right.
I mean, you can't argue like his power numbers, his hitting overall against lefties. He can hit lefties pretty well. To the point, honestly, like I've watched his swing more for the right-hand side. Same thing with Tommy. We've talked about this. I wonder sometimes, I'm like, are they just being like, should these guys just be batting right-handed full time? And that's something to think about with them. But it was just surprising to me that they went to Rogers because you only had the lefty-lefty matchup with Nootbaar. And
Right.
then you had Carlson and you had O'Neill coming up. So I didn't understand that change. And then to leave him in against Pujols, because if you remember the inning before when Bush came in, or 2 innings before they brought a righty in, Ollie could have pinch hit Gorman for Albert, and he left Albert in. I think Albert struck out. It was a pretty quick at bat, and I remember thinking, man, because I think we had a runner on. I'm like, but there was 2 outs. Why isn't Gorman getting a chance to pinch it? And I just thought, well, it's probably because he had a home run earlier,
Right.
He's hitting well, but it played into our hands perfectly with him staying in.
Yeah, that's surprising that the Brewers would have left him in as a lefty, right? And he's already homered. He's already had success against that guy. Already hit a home run off
And
of
the
him.
only thing I could think of is maybe Devin Williams wasn't available for some reason. I mean, because he didn't pitch that game.
Right. He pitched the day before. But he got the win.
I don't remember him throwing a bunch of pitches.
Yeah,
I mean, you would think
know.
that'd be the moment you'd want him in the game. And maybe for the Brewers side, they're thinking, hey, like we've already given up the lead on Carlson's home run. We're not going to bring in Williams now when we're down, and we have to hop on a plane tonight and go to LA and play in LA tonight. So maybe they were already, thinking to the next series, which I can understand for them. I mean, 7 of their next 10 are against LA. So hopefully the Dodgers just keep doing what they've been doing to everybody, to them. But it was interesting.
Yeah, let's switch gears a little bit. So on my rundown, I have also talking about Yepes. Yepes is supposed to be eligible. They expect
They're saying tomorrow, maybe.
Tomorrow, yeah. So he got scratched in his last game. He was supposed to play on Sunday. I think he was supposed to play Sunday for
They
Memphis,
wanted him out in the field, I think, for his second game.
but he was scratched completely.
Okay.
And it was non-forearm strain related that he was scratched. I think they said illness, didn't feel well, something of that nature.
Yeah.
And they still expect him to be with the club tomorrow. What is the corresponding move, or what should it be? Okay, there's 2 ways to look at it. What should the move be, and what will the move? What will it be?
So
I've struggled with this.
I've struggled with it a little bit, but I think honestly, the best move might be like a Phantom IL stint for Dickerson.
Yeah,
because he pinch hit again yesterday, struck out on 3 pitches, way behind fastballs, and honestly, it didn't look like he could get that power in his legs. It was it was the same leg issue that he had, which is why he didn't start Saturday.
They call it the same injury.
Yes.
But then they put him in the game late because he said he was available.
And it cost us on a bad route.
Right.
Couldn't get the ball. So
So you think that's the most
I think that makes the most sense, man,
sense?
because and I don't know if they want to do that because I know he's a lefty bat, and he had a good week or two there when he was hitting, but if he can't play the field and all he can do is DH when we've got Albert hitting like he is and Gorman hitting like he is, then but you could argue the same thing with Juan. Well, then where's Yepes even going to play when he comes back? Are they going to give him a chance out in the outfield? Probably not over Newbar right now, unless you want to get him in there.
And he's not going to get DHs over Albert.
Right. And the only way I could see Yepes getting field time is maybe in left field. If O'Neill keeps struggling against
Sure.
right-handed pitchers, Yepes has hit both fairly well in his minor league career. He didn't have any bad splits, righties versus lefties. But we've seen the experiment with him in left field too. It wasn't too pretty earlier.
Yeah. So, I've thought about it, and I don't know where they'll go, and I don't know what's the most likelihood of what should happen. I heard some really bad takes today saying that O'Neill and Carlson should be sat until and through the playoffs, even if they're not performing. Then obviously if they did that, then there's an opportunity for Yepes to play in left field or right field if you're moving Newt to center and all those things. But you got to think about whenever Carlson was out, they put O'Neill at center field and not Newt. So
Right.
like that shows you how high they are on Newt being able to play center field. But I think my only other thought was they're not using a lot of the bullpen. So would they lose another pitcher to bring up someone like
Mhm.
Yepes, like to be able to activate Yepes? Do they send down a pitcher that they're not using? Because the bullpen is not being used a lot. Whether that's right or wrong, I don't know the answer to that. Or is Ollie being criticized for that? But there's a lot of guys in there that aren't getting a lot of reps
No.
that need to. So
I think it's a little bit of maybe of what Schilt went through last year of he just doesn't
he's overusing a couple guys.
overusing to the point. Well, yeah, you don't want to overuse those guys, but then he just doesn't seem like he doesn't trust a whole lot of other guys.
Right.
I mean, even Gallegos, we saw it didn't go well
Right.
Saturday, and you and I kind of felt like it seemed like it was coming. And Cabrera's struggled lately. He hasn't looked
Right.
too great. I think part of it too is you've had the fortunate stint here the last probably 12, 13 games where the offense has been doing pretty well. I mean, probably averaging 4, 5, 6 runs a game. I mean, it seems like here lately we're putting up 5 or more pretty consistently, which is great. But yeah, I mean, you had Friday, you went to Helsley 2 innings, and I was kind of like, did he need to do that? But I get it. You wanted to go ahead and grab that win, especially with Burns on the mound the next day. But it does seem like that with the bullpen. And yeah, I don't know, man. It's going to be interesting. I was reading an article here from Rick Hummel with the Post-Dispatch. He was talking about this very thing with Yepes, and Ollie's quoted in here. This was a couple days ago, but he was quoted as saying, "We need him to be able to throw the baseball. That's a big thing. They want him back to being able to throw when they get back." But this also says that, according to early reports from Memphis, Yepes has been pulling off the ball in his swing, much like the habit he got into at the big league level before he righted himself. So Ollie was saying that too. Is part of it? There's a quote here from Ollie. Part of it's getting him back to being able to use the whole field and drive the ball the other way. Um, so, and then Ollie goes on to say it'll be a good decision to have,
Right.
But it seems like, especially with him scratched the other day, maybe they don't activate him tomorrow. Maybe they make him get at least a game or two on the field in Memphis, and and maybe like these things tend to happen. Maybe Dickerson's issue gets worse, and they realize, all right, this is happening at the time. We got another guy injured, and we'll bring him back. That would be the easiest route, probably.
About 5 episodes ago, we asked, and I think the title of the episode was, "Is Yepes here to stay?" And so if you're thinking about that way, and they wouldn't bring him up, the answer would be no, right? That
Right.
he is not better than what you have currently is what we're thinking about. But he is, in theory.
Right.
And when he's hitting, he's better than what's active on the field today. But
Yeah.
your bench, I was just looking it up, just making sure where I was with it. But Brendan Donovan is your bench, and Corey Dickerson,
Kisner, Gorman, pseudo, playing second base,
right.
DH as well.
That's your
I
bench.
don't think any of them. I mean, Kisner and Gorman for sure aren't getting sit down.
Right.
I mean, you have to have Kisner as a backup catcher.
Right.
Gorman's done nothing to be sent down.
Right. So then you look at the bullpen. That's why I think the bullpen look, I think the Dickerson makes the best sense to get your IL. If he's
Right.
injured, then he needs to do it and then take that 10 days, and
Yeah.
you can
Figure it out after that then.
yes. And then but if you look at the bullpen side, Jake Woodford, they just skipped Hudson start today,
I saw that. They're
right?
gonna go.
Yeah, they're going to go on to the next one. Chris Stratton has been really bad. Now, I don't know about his options.
He has been really bad.
I don't know his options.
And
I
he
don't
was
know.
kind of a throw in that deal
He was.
for Quintana.
Yeah. So I don't know Stratton's situation in.
But you think they would go one less pitcher? I don't know. They don't
But-
seem like they ever do that.
But I mean, think about they're not using guys. They're using Gio and Genesis and Ryan Helsley, Jordan
Well-
Hicks sometimes, right?
Hicks has been a little bit
Packy
better
Naughton
lately, but
has
then
gone up and down. Andre Palante in a long relief situation.
it seems like
Chris Stratton and Jake Woodford. Those are
Yeah.
they're not using all those guys. So I think the only thing that makes sense is they're going to either have something with Dickerson because he can't be sent down.
right.
You're not going to send him down. You can't send down Carlson. You can't send down O'Neill. You can't send down Edmund. You can't send down. I mean, like they're
Right.
you're not sending down Lars because well, one, he's hitting. Two, he's your starting right fielder now.
Right. He's
And-
taken hold of that job so far.
Right. And so who else are you sending down? Like the options aren't there.
It seems like the options, if we don't think it's a pitcher, to me the options are either Donovan or Dickerson.
Right.
And it's either Dickerson is like a release or it's an IL, which is probably more likely to happen, or Donovan but I don't know. I mean, and we've talked about this and we'll get into probably after this kind of thoughts on leadoff and
Yeah.
the number 2 spot, but Brendan Donovan's still a tough out. I mean, he doesn't slug, he's not hitting home runs, but he's a tough out. He's getting on base. He's still second on the team in OBP at like 390 something.
Yes.
So he's still drawing walks. So I'm like, is that more valuable than a Dickerson pinch hit, or especially if Dickerson can't play the field right now? That's the other thing.
right.
Donovan has the position versatility.
Right. So I look at Donovan. Donovan hit 200 in July, and he's hit
It's been rough.
and it's hit a little better in August, but not much better. But he's had a lot less opportunities.
Right.
So the opportunities are less. So yes, Donovan would make sense as well because he's not getting opportunities, and you want him to get back on track. Well, how do you get a guy back on track in a pennant race? How can
It's
you
a bad time to do it.
how
Not at the major league level.
right? How can you risk it to get a guy back on track when you're trying to win the division and you're trying, you know what I mean? Like I think Donovan would make sense. I think some people would be upset about it, and I think people have a false sense of what Donovan has been over the last month and a half, though, as
Right.
well. But he does, and like you said, he has that high OBP. He has a high batting average as well. But most of that was all done whenever he was super hot
Right.
early on. Tommy Edmonds' numbers are better than Donovan's have been over the last month and a half. When people have called for for Edmond to sit.
So let me read this off to you and tell me if this surprises you. So I just pulled up some Donovan numbers. Since July 13th, so a month, a little over a month now, but we've got an off day. So about like almost exactly at a month. Donovan's 11 for 55. Not great, but 260.
Yeah.
OBP's 418.
Right. That's
So
the difference.
that's the value. So for him right now, it's the getting on base
right.
and it's the position versatility.
So do you
Because
do
he's
you
been pretty
trade
good
that?
defen-
Do you trade that for
Exactly.
Juan Yepes?
Exactly. And I don't know, man. I don't know if you need to, because of
But
how Pujols is
it
hit. If
sounds to
Pujols
me-
wasn't doing what he's doing right now,
Right.
then it'd be a no-brainer. Like, yes,
absolutely.
throw wet Yepes in, let him get DH, maybe even against right. Probably not against righties if Tommy's not playing second base, but
I really listen to Brad Thompson and Dan McLaughlin on what they say in the broadcast, what BT says on the radio. I think they have
they got
knowledge.
a little more insight that
Yes.
others don't.
And BT said the 2 days before Lars was going to start at leadoff.
Right.
He said, I think it makes sense. And I think that was more, I heard
He knew it was coming.
at this right-hander, this is what's going to happen. And so those two have really talked about Juan Yepes coming back Tuesday, being available. I think that they're not going to, I feel like from what they're saying, it's going to happen and he's going to be called up. So it's like what corresponding move makes sense. Now, if I don't know how IL works, does the player have to accept that? Like, does the player have to agree? Yes, I am actually hurt here.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know exactly if that's like the rules. I don't know, exactly what, because you
Yeah.
can't fake it really. But he he did get scratched from a start, but then
Yeah.
came in later because he said he was good to go.
And
Then
you could tell on that route, man, on that ball.
Yeah.
Like, he didn't take a good route, but you could tell when he was running. He just did. And like I said, that even that pinch hit at bat I saw yesterday, it just didn't look right. I
Yeah.
mean, way behind 93.
And
Like,
yeah.
the guy wasn't throwing hard.
And since just before the All-Star break, he's hitting over 300 since then. So, you
Yeah.
know,
So
since
he's
July 12th-ish,
Yeah.
he's been
similar
hitting
to Newt Bar. He's turned it
Yes.
on a little bit more, but if I had to put money on it, I would say
an
that
IL
he's gonna
stint.
get an IL stint.
I think that makes sense if that's available.
Right.
If that's something that he will take or they will do, I think that would make the most sense. And then I think you've also kind of talked me into Donovan being the other option, because the pitchers, they're just not using him, and maybe they need to get someone work. So maybe they would send someone to get work,
Right.
like a Packy Naughton to stretch out a little bit more or something like that, over a small period. But I think Donovan, to get him more reps, to be able to get him to catch fire again, because you really want him to be hot, right? You really
Yeah.
need to get him going. So what better way to get him every day at bats at AAA? I think would make sense as well. But let's switch gears and talk about leadoff. Now, a lot of people after DC and DC and Tyler O'Neill were put back to back again in the lineup, first and second, and they'd both been struggling. And the data shows that both of them hit really well in the two hole. Like that's where they're both most successful.
Right.
And Dylan Carlson, data wise, does not
Especially against the lefty.
against a lefty, especially. And data wise, Dylan Carlson does not do well in the leadoff spot.
No.
But O'Neill does really well with the protection, like he did last year with
Yeah, the
Goldie
2-hole was
and
the best
Arenado.
spot that he hit in. Or was it 3? Did he hit in the 3-hole?
2. It was 2.
Yeah, it was 2 because it was ahead of Goldie and then
Yeah.
Arenado, because he was getting pitches to hit. And I
Right.
think that was the idea again with Ollie yesterday. And look, man, it didn't start off great for them two, especially Dylan. I think his first 2 at bats were strikeouts, and then he had like a weak ground out before he had the big home run to give the lead. O'Neill early on had a lazy fly out. He had the squibber down third base that he beat out for a single, and then he had that bullet of a home run, kind of what we saw last year. I mean, really, it flashed that bullet of a home run, dead center field on Freeze's lawn, and that was good to see. But man, that's another guy. I've got his numbers pulled up since July 13th, batting 181,
Yeah.
slugging 333. I mean, he's striking out 30% of the time. Not great.
No.
And so we just talked about, do you let a guy try to get right during a pennant race? And we said, they're really going to send O'Neill or Carlson down. And part of me is like, man, if they sent DeYoung down as bad as, and it was a different situation, it was earlier on in the year, but if we go another 1, 2, 3 weeks of O'Neill really, really struggling, I can't say it would totally surprise me if they didn't send him down just like they did DeYoung and say, we need to see you work on this stuff, and finally give Alec Burleson a shot.
Now, I've heard that take recently as well. Well, you have to think of the difference in Paul DeYoung. Paul DeYoung was a multi-year
Struggles,
like
several years,
like a Matt Carpenter issue that
That's a good point.
was manifesting of this guy was an all-star. Then he went a half season with nothing, then another season with nothing, and then came another month this season, and they sent him down. I don't think they're giving up on O'Neill like that,
No.
or Carlson, or any of. To be honest, anyone.
You can't do it with Carlson.
Well, yeah, I mean,
after what Mo told him,
you've put your eggs in that
can't do it.
basket. But I just don't think, because Paul DeYoung was so far gone comparatively.
More loss at the plate.
Yes. And also the injury issues that
That's what I was
O'Neill
gonna
has
say.
had.
I think that's been the biggest difference. I think that they're giving.
And how injured is he right now? Like, is
Exactly.
he still playing a little hurt?
I mean, he beat out an infield single
Yeah.
yesterday, and he looked like he was running pretty full tilt. So, but
Yeah.
then we saw a misplay. What was that? A couple nights ago on a ball he should have caught with his back on the wall.
Yeah, I
And
mean,
he
he hit
just
his
didn't
glove, but I mean,
Yeah,
it's got to. I mean, it's got to be a tough play up against the wall.
Yeah.
Because Carlson should have had the
it might
homer
have
as
just
well.
settled on him. Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's my kind of my thoughts. Like, Paul DeYoung was a 2.5 year.
and he didn't have injuries and stuff. Really.
Right. It was just complete loss
Yeah.
of his talent, of his skills. And so that made a lot more sense. So I just don't see that Tyler O'Neill ever. I mean, 2 more years of arbitration, like, he is going to fight that because he wants
Yeah.
to make the money and
Oh, yeah.
all those things that go along with it. So, but yeah, so who should lead off for the team? I assume you're going to say Donovan.
Well, and so BT and those guys on the fast lane got into this today, and it was a good discussion because I think I think after yesterday, and your hope is, for the most part, you're pretty comfortable with this team's lineup when there's a lefty on the mound. Even though Carlson's doesn't have the greatest numbers at leadoff, he still hits lefties really well. So I don't hate it. I don't hate the idea of him first, against a lefty.
I would like to see the numbers up against lefties. Now,
Yeah.
early on in the season, it was obliteration.
Yes.
But then there went a month plus stretch where the Cardinals did not hit lefties well.
Yep.
So I would like to see where that actually is now,
Right.
because they've looked better, obviously, against the Brewers
Yeah.
most recently. But I'd like to see where they actually end up now against lefties. I don't think it's as astronomical as it
Right.
was early on in the season. But I feel most comfortable with Carlson and Edmund both
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
batting from that side.
Maybe you try Edmund at leadoff again. I mean, he usually hits lefties pretty well. He has more power from the right side for sure, doubles wise and stuff like that. So, and he had a double yesterday and
Yeah.
then stole third. Like maybe you try him out with lefties at the top. But it's really when there's a right hander on mount, it just seems like, O'Neill's not really hitting either very well right now.
Right.
So I don't know if keeping him at the 2 hole is the best. I told you a minute ago before we went on air, Donovan, I mean, he's second on the team with a 397 OBP. And I showed you over the last month, he's still got a 415 something OBP.
So
He's just a guy that grinds out at bat. It kind of reminds me of Carpenter a little bit of
yeah.
not afraid to get 2 strikes, grind it out. Maybe he's a guy you try out at leadoff with a righty on the mound. And maybe you try Newbar batting
Yeah,
second.
I was gonna say, I think
Because Newbar's got more power. I liked what Newbar did in the leadoff, the game that he got a chance to do.
Right.
He's laying down some bunts against the shift. He's making things happen. But he can drive in runs, and he's shown more power than Donovan. Maybe you try him in the 2 hole.
would you think about against a righty moving Goldie and Nolan Arenado back up? Like they did that last year. It was
They did do that some.
yeah, you have Goldie 2, Arenado 3, then you have maybe Gorman 4 or
Yeah.
Something like that to move because Gorman didn't hit well in the 2 hole. Like they tried that. He
Right.
hasn't shaped well as a 2 hole hitter.
No.
Which I think
He seems to profile more as a cleanup guy.
yeah,
you would
4-5.
think.
I think 4-5 is where he probably belongs in the lineup.
Yeah.
So because I liked Lars at leadoff. I think that he got on base 3 times at one game whenever he's leading off, which is obviously
so you think maybe then either Donovan or Newbar leading off, Goldie 2, Arenado 3, Gorman 4.
yeah, I mean, and
I don't hate the idea of that.
Yeah,
Because, I mean, that idea, obviously, you get Goldschmidt and Arenado up in the first inning.
right. And as hot as they both are, might as well, right?
Yeah. They're hitting everybody well. It doesn't
because
matter.
what would you because what's happening currently is usually out Goldie.
Yeah, Goldie's hitting a home run with nobody on base.
And if he doesn't get on, if he gets out, and then you're leading off with Nolan Arenado, which
Exactly.
is not terrible, obviously.
No, but it's still maddening even if they hit a home run. It's great to hit home runs, but you're like, it'd been nice if somebody was on base.
Right, because if Goldie gets on there, then you still get Nolan up,
Right.
in front of him. But I think of that. Not that it's the right answer; it might be the wrong answer. But I think about the options that you can move some things around for the righties, right-handed pitchers, because you're trying to produce more on base in front of those guys. So you're still going to have probably Edmund at the bottom of the lineup for a second leadoff guy type thing. So I don't know. That's kind of one of the ways that I was thinking of it was maybe just moving, but maybe you don't want to touch either of them being Goldie and Nolan Arenado because they're just crushing it.
They've been great where they're at. Yeah.
So maybe you don't even want to mess with it.
Yeah. That might be part of it. It's going to be interesting. And obviously we've got September's around the corner. So you're going to have some playoffs, or the rosters expanding. I know it's different this year. You can't call up as many. I think you can only call up. I think I read you can only call up 2 more players. It goes from 26 to 28. So it changed this year. You can't call up near as many call ups. So, and BT was talking about that some today. He said he thinks they'll probably for sure call up Burleson because he said he probably should be here now. And the only reason he's not is because of Newbar. So he thinks they'll call up Burleson and then maybe most likely another pitcher, probably a bullpen guy. So Burleson, man, I mean, this dude is leading. He's leading the league.
Yeah, AAA.
Yeah, in with a 331 average, 374 on base percentage, and he slugs over 500. Doesn't have speed. He's not going to steal bases, but 20 home runs, 76 RBIs. He's driving in runs. He's getting on base. I mean, if if
But
I
it
was the
becomes
most
a 40-man issue at that point too, though, right?
right, yeah, and that would be part of it. That would be an issue you'd have to figure out. And
Now,
it seems like
someone
that's always a puzzle.
someone talked about this. It may have been Jamie Rivers, and I don't think BT was there, but I think it was Jamie Rivers, but they picked up Kramer Robertson
Picked
again,
him back up, yeah.
and someone said, and I haven't heard if this was correct or wrong, but once they picked him back up, because you got him off waivers, he had to go back onto the 40-man. Now, I don't know if that's true, and if they ever said what's accurate about that or not, or that they were speculating that they would have to send him down on waivers, like put him on waivers again,
Right.
and then they would claim him again, or like he would take the DFA to the Cardinals. So I don't know exactly. I don't know what the 40-man sits at currently.
He is currently on the 40-man.
So that is
I
accurate.
just looked that up.
Yeah. So that doesn't make a lot of sense. But whenever he was put on waivers by his most recent team, he had a couple different teams there. And then the Cardinals reclaimed him, it put him right back onto the 40-man.
Yep.
And the only way he would come off that 40-man is if they would designate him for assignment again, and then he would clear waivers all the way through,
Right.
and then take the job back with the Cardinals in AAA, which is very good. So the Cardinals are one of the only teams to pick him up off waivers. So why not?
Very odd.
Why not just let him clear it again?
Exactly. I don't understand that one. And it's showing here that all the guys that are on IL, I guess they're still on the 40-man too.
Unless they're on 60-day or more.
Okay.
So if you're on
Because
IL,
it's still showing Flaherty and Verhagen on here, and they're on the. I mean, Verhagen is on the 60-day for sure. He's done for the rest.
And
of the
so
year.
is Jack. So yes,
I'm not sure exactly how that works.
Yes, I'm 99% sure 60-day gets you off of the 40,
Right.
and so that those open up those spots. And obviously, if you're done for the season, it opens up those spots as well.
So maybe you just throw him right back off.
Yeah, that's what I'm
if
point.
You want to call
right?
Burleson up.
Yeah, that's what I'm confused about.
Unless you're going to throw a random pitcher off, like maybe Stratton or Jojo Romero's still there that we got in the that was the Sosa trade.
Yes.
To the Phillies.
He's on the 40.
He's on the 40-man in the minors at AAA. The lefty. Maybe he's a guy if he's doing well. Maybe they call him up to have another lefty in the pen in September. I'm not sure.
Yeah. So I don't know what you do in that Alec Burleson possibility
to get him on it.
Get him on to get there. Zach Thompson is. I don't understand why he's not on the team currently.
It doesn't make sense, especially with who was just released. The name just escaped me. Lefty. Was getting the ground balls last year.
Oh, TJ McFarland.
Yeah, TJ. Especially with him just released. I mean, I know we've got. Do we have two lefties in the bullpen right now? We've got Cabrera. I can't think of another left-handed pitcher we've got in the bullpen right now, off the top of my head. I think he's the main one, and if he Packy Naughton's the other one. So he might be a guy. I mean, Naughton's kind of struggled his last few outings. He hasn't looked great. He was one of those guys that got knocked around a little bit in Colorado. Maybe you send Packy back down and bring Thompson back. I mean, I think the team's better. If you ask me right now, who's a better bullpen option, Packy Naughton or Zach Thompson? Zach Thompson. I feel like that's a pretty easy answer. So yeah, I'm like, why is he not up right now? It doesn't make any sense to me. And they've sent him down in a bullpen role. So I don't know if you saw that. He's not
starting.
They've got him in high leverage situations. So it's then
what was Jake Woodford doing in Memphis?
He was starting.
Yeah. So you got to think that
they had him particularly working on his slider.
So you think that he was called up for long
to cover a potential Hudson blowout again. Yeah.
And because they're trying to save Palante in his innings.
Right.
So that's what that. I mean, so at what point do you send Palante down? I mean, really, because you're taling about saving innings.
I don't think he's getting sent down.
Yeah, but they're going to limit his innings, right? The goal is to.
They better limit enough for him to stay on and be in the playoffs as an option.
That's my thought too.
Yeah.
Who cares about his innings? If we're trying to win, if you're trying to win games, I don't really.
Especially now that he's not starting.
He has an innings limit of I want to say 77 innings. It was from whatever I heard, something like that. Well, if he's at 77 innings. And the playoff starts, you're going to say, well, shut him down.
You're going to pull the Strasburg?
Yeah, no way. You're putting the guy out there that's gotten you there, that's pitched really, really well.
Yeah.
And I'd rather see him out there than Hudson at any point, really, at this point.
He's already at 89 innings pitched this year.
Yeah, and I may have just made 77.
Yeah,
but
which I'm pretty sure that's already like a career high for him or something.
Yeah. So if he's on this strict, I don't know. I don't really like innings limits. Like if the guy's pitching well, then let him go. But like he doesn't need to start, sure, because that's why you got Montgomery and that's why you got
Right.
Katana. But if he's done well in the long relief, he's there. So you're going to use Woodford instead. Then
Yep.
what's Palante doing?
Exactly.
What's his job now?
His career high on innings pitched in the minors is in 2018. He threw 101.1 innings. That was a 19-year. Okay, no, so this is showing his college too. So that was at UC Irvine.
That he pitched 100 innings.
101.1 innings pitched as a 19-year-old. So in the minors, the most he's pitched in an inning or in a season was 2021 between Memphis and Springfield, mainly at Springfield. He threw 99.1 innings pitched. So this, I mean, he's
10 innings away
he's 10
from
innings
hitting
away from his
his
career, his minor league career high. So if you're not wanting him to go past 100, then then why is he there? Because he's going to pass that
Right.
in the next month, especially if they've still been pitching him multiple innings. You know, he's having like
Right. He's
1 2/3, 2 innings, 2 1/3 outings.
3 innings
Yeah.
too. Yeah.
So
That's why I don't get it either. So
they've got to have. I assume maybe they have a higher. Maybe it's like 120 or somewhere around there where they're more comfortable with him going, further now out of the bullpen. I would hope, because he's been very reliable, man. I mean, he's been that surprise bullpen pitcher this year that's been very reliable.
yeah, absolutely. And that's why I just don't get like the innings limit for what? So what are you going to do with him? So if you're
He's
at
just gonna sit on the roster.
right. So but if it comes playoff time, you're like, well, sorry, you're at your innings
Yeah.
limit. No, you're going to go and try and win ball games, right?
Exactly.
You think? I mean, it doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
No, it doesn't.
So that's just so he's just sitting there on the roster, and Zach Thompson's not. So I mean, I can't imagine them going away from him. But if they're going to go away from Palante, then Thompson should be on the roster.
Yes, but I think right now it should be him taking Pacquiao's spot. Honestly.
Yeah, and Packy had struggled more recently than he did previously. So whatever you need to get, and if you're scared to put him out there again, it's tough to get guys going in a pennant race. Well, there's 48 games left, I think, something like that.
Yeah.
Like it's not time to figure it out. It's
No.
time to look. We have this next 16 game stretch. Like this is day off, and then we have 16 straight games against some pretty weak opponents that the Cardinals need to step on some throats and actually get going.
Yeah.
Because it seems as if lately they can get up for the big game, but they can't get up for the little game.
No.
And so at what point do you start figuring that out? And you can't let guys that are struggling out there to try and figure out over the next 48 games. But also, the Brewers are going against the Dodgers starting tomorrow.
7 of their next 10.
Yeah. Okay. So the 7 of the next 10.
This week's big.
The Cardinals need to be winning a lot of those games.
Yeah, you need to rack up the wins. I mean, another 6, 7, 8 game win streak would be fantastic this week. And there's no reason you shouldn't be able to get something close to that. I mean, you've got Colorado again, but they're going to be at Busch this time, so hopefully there's not as many of those blow ups, like we had in Colorado, because they're at Busch. And then you go to Arizona, I think, for 3 games, right? And then we go to Chicago for another one of those 5-game stints with a doubleheader in there. Anything can happen at those games, but we should be beating the Cubs.
Right. I'm getting a lot of questions, but I can't read them. Can you pull up yours in the chat window?
Let's see here.
I'm dinging, but I can't get to them, so I'm struggling to view them.
It's showing private chat from me. Yeah, I'm not seeing
See
it
top
either.
right on the chat captions graphics there. Can you hit chat?
Let's see.
All right, I think I was able to pull one up. If
can see
Pujols
some.
had this was a minute ago from Vaughn Lewis. If Pujols had been with the Cardinals all along, this is from previous conversation, the start of the podcast about Albert Pujols, would have already hit over 700, maybe 750 or 775. This guy thinks in home runs. I base this on he can hit in Busch Stadium 3, and the fan support would have motivated him to be more aggressive. So I've have a lot. I can't get them on my screen for some reason.
Yeah,
But
they're not popping up on my screen.
yeah,
for some
but
reason.
so let's put the other conversation on hold and talk about that for a second. I thought about this last night, I think, was about what would have been different for Albert over those 10 years. People, Facebook is a crazy world of fans, of Cardinals
Interesting
fans. It's
takes.
an interesting place.
A lot of hate.
And people said he just wanted to go the most money. which Miami,
If
if
you go
no
back
one
and look at
remembers,
that wasn't the case.
Miami Marlins may have been Florida Marlins at the time. I don't remember when they changed, but Miami Marlins offered the most money.
Yep.
It wasn't the Angels.
Cubs are in play there too.
Yes, and the Cardinals still offered a decent amount of money, similar to the Angels, a little bit more with the Angels, but it wasn't about the money and as much as other things. But so if he would have played in St. Louis, I heard a lot of takes that it would have been didn't matter. He still broke down. He still had plantar fasciitis. He
You
still,
still can't know for sure if he wouldn't have had that issue.
but I do think about the
More playoff games.
more
for
playoff
sure.
games, the more pennant chases, the more full crowds. I mean, Angels don't draw like the St. Louis Cardinals.
Division championships.
All those, like, playing for something gets
Right.
you up for more things.
Right.
I think he would have, yes, had a better career. I think he would have probably hit 700 by now.
Yeah.
I don't know 755 or 777
Yeah,
like that.
that's a stretch.
That part I don't know. But I think the Bush effect, the St. Louis effect, would have been something.
Right.
I think it would be more.
I would argue, honestly, if he had stayed, that he would have less home runs than he does now.
Really,
Because if he gets that plantar fasciitis issue, we don't have the DH.
right? That's a big part of it too. DH.
I mean,
he got a lot of extra at bats
when he couldn't play the
when
field.
he couldn't play the field. You're right.
So that's where I'm at on that. Now, you can say, well, you wouldn't have the injury. You can't. I mean,
you don't never know.
You
right?
never know. I mean, that could happen for anything.
The Cardinals have such a better training staff and doctors that he would have never had that issue.
And that's not true. Yeah, I could sense the sarcasm in that. Yeah, yeah. If Adam Wainwright can tear his Achilles on a pop out on a swing, then Albert could very surely have gotten plantar fasciitis again.
Yeah, absolutely. We
It's so interesting because we just traded a fan favorite because of plantar fasciitis.
Right, and because they realized this is a big deal.
Yeah.
We had another question. I got to get to it. Let's see. I'm just
I'll pull up Facebook. I'm assuming usually a lot
Twitter,
of these come
Twitter,
through
Facebook. There's even
Nice.
some on YouTube. It's kind of all over, but I'm getting them sent to my phone and not to this chat overlay. But this guy, Cards Talk, 314 says, send down Dickerson, let him get at bats in Memphis until the roster expands. Now, I don't think that's possible, right?
He has to approve that. Same way like
or
Matt
he would have to be
Carpenter.
DFA'd, clear
Yep.
waivers, and then go down, right? So I don't think that is really in play.
He would request his release, I would assume, before he did that.
Yeah.
At this point in his career, I mean, he's not.
Why?
Why would he do that?
Why would he do that? Yeah, I mean, because what do you think? I don't know how old Dickerson is, but I assume he's in his 30s, in his mid.
Mid, I think he's 34 or 35.
So what's his goal? I would assume is to win a championship, right? I would assume to play
Be
in
a
the
part
playoffs.
of a playoff team,
yeah,
yeah.
to play for a title of some sort. So yeah, why would he take a demotion?
He's actually only 33.
Okay, and he, some Colorado ages you, I think.
Yeah.
I don't think he would take that role, but it's more likely that, like you said, I think than that would be to take an IL stint.
Yeah, a phantom kind of, which it might not even be phantom. I mean, it seems like something's up with his leg again.
Yeah, but I think it's just weird that he says that he's scratched because he can't go.
But then they put him in late
And
to
then
play defense.
Yeah.
And they pinch hit him yesterday. Yeah.
Right.
And that was another thing. They pinch hit him yesterday. That was another thing I thought about. Ollie pinch hit him yesterday instead of Gorman.
Yeah.
I mean, and I don't know, maybe it was his numbers against that pitcher. I'm not sure. But I remember kind of scratching my head like, what? That doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
Right. Yeah, there were some things there that didn't make sense. So, it'd be weird if he did go on the IL because of the last couple days.
Right.
But it makes the most sense that he would go on the IL.
But maybe that's why Ollie tried him out there or tried him at batting yesterday to see, like, all right, let's see how much of an issue this is. And maybe it comes out, tomorrow ahead of the game that he's on the DL.
Right.
Or on the IL and Yepes comes back.
Yeah, and I think that makes the most sense. If
you're not wanting to mess with the 40 man,
Right.
It's by far makes the most sense.
Absolutely. I don't see any more questions that I can get to at the moment. But all right, let's jump back to where we were. Do you remember where we were?
We were talking about 1 and 2 a little bit.
Yes. So
lead off
1 and 2. So I think Lars, to me, is the most sense against righties.
Yeah.
So a lefty,
or like we said, maybe Donovan lead off, Lars bat second.
Right. So, or even vice versa, right?
Yeah.
I guess Lars and then Donovan too. But I think I'd rather see Donovan towards the bottom because instead of getting out, he's on base. Versus, I'd rather see him as like a double leadoff to me
Right.
because he's not
Kinda
getting
like they've
hits.
done with Tommy lately.
Yeah, I'd rather see that. And to be honest, Gorman has batted the 330 plus in the last 15 games. He has 4 home runs. He's slugging 700 plus. Why not give him his run on the daily? Why
Yeah.
not? Why aren't we pulling? I understand it's a lefty matchup, but he's gonna. I mean, he's gonna play next year every day, right? I mean,
Yeah.
that's the goal.
Well, if he's a starter, like, why not give him more opportunities? This has been the case with DeYoung his whole career. He has reverse splits. He actually does not hit lefties very well. He's always hit righties better. So you can make the argument that, well, maybe it actually makes more sense to put Tommy at shortstop and let Gorman play second, get some at bats against a lefty. And I think part of that maybe is that, DeYoung's been hitting so well lately that you just want to play that
Right,
hot
just keep
hand.
going.
He's cooled off the last couple of games, but
I'm fine with that too, and same with Albert. And people talk about why put Albert in the lineup against a righty because of his splits. Well, why not at this point?
hitting the ball well right now.
I think there's a human element that goes with the analytics that you go with the hot hand and you make it work. Like
Yeah.
you see, and if it doesn't work, you can pull him. You can put someone else in the game. Like it's perfectly fine that it's not working or it takes a bat at bat and you go, okay, let's put in the other guy. I mean,
Right.
it's perfectly fine. But I don't know where you sit with defense. There's a lot of people who then complain about defensively what you're losing. I don't think there's a big drop off. I mean, obviously, Tommy Edman is a Gold Glove second baseman.
Right.
He's played really, really well at shortstop. Paul DeYoung and Edman to me are very similar at shortstop. I think Paul DeYoung has a better arm, but I think the range is just fine for Tommy to get
Yeah.
to balls. If you're putting in Donovan at second, is there a change for you? If you're putting Gorman at second, is there a massive change? Is there a big enough change? Like, has the Cardinals gone away from defense first, like they've been preaching once they traded Bader?
Traded Bader.
Right.
You're letting Gorman get some starts at second. Yeah.
So, like, what's like where? I mean, the takes have been you're just drastically reducing your defensive skills
Right.
when you're putting in Gorman or you're putting in Donovan.
You can't say that about Gorman. That just has not been the case at all at second base this year. I would say he's probably performed better than I thought he was going to defensively.
He hasn't performed poorly at all. Like I can't think of a time when
He's making all the plays right to him.
right. I would like to
games-
see his defensive WAR.
Yeah.
I'd like
I would
to
have to pull it
it
up,
up.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Second base is weighted differently. A lot of
Right.
people don't understand WAR of that. All the positions are weighted very differently. That's why Tommy has such a high WAR because of shortstop is graded as the most difficult position to play, and then that Paul Goldschmidt has a negative like 0.5 WAR at first base because first base is graded as one of the easiest positions to play. So
Right.
there's a big difference there. So second base is graded is harder than first, but I don't know what Gorman's WAR would look like there, or Donovan for that matter. Um, but that's where those two guys. Donovan's played obviously different places than just second base. He's played
Right.
all over.
Yeah, so Gorman, I'm trying to pull up some of these FanGraph numbers, and they're crazy with the defensive metrics. They've
Yes.
got all kinds of stuff. I will say the first number I see, he is -2 in defensive runs saved, which isn't great, but it's
Right.
not awful.
If you compare it to the second baseman that no longer plays for the Cardinals,
Yeah,
that is
league
now.
average, yeah.
But if you look at that for the guy in Milwaukee, he has the most. Colton Wong, by the way,
Yeah.
has the most errors.
He's struggled this year.
He has the most errors in all of baseball at second base. His WAR is negative a bajillion, and his outs above replacement is negative. Like it's just he's been really bad at second base this year.
Yeah.
And it makes Mo look really really smart for letting him go. And a lot of people were upset, including myself. But it was I thought about money. $10 million versus 500,000 for Tommy, and it looked really smart even earlier when Tommy was just raking.
Yeah, it's interesting, but yeah, I mean Gorman, I would say maybe average, slightly below average. Definitely not hurting you.
Yeah.
I mean, the -2 defensive runs save sounds bad, but I mean he's not. I can't think of plays where he's like cost us runs or cost us games. There was a couple of games early on that were a little shaky. Where like,
Yes, he had errors.
he would make
early.
a bad throw.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, and like take Goldie off the bag. Could have been just jitters,
Right.
getting your first crack at the majors. But it seems here lately, I mean, he's even made like it was the Michaelis near no hitter that he made a fantastic
Yes.
play. I think it was ranging to his right, maybe, and or coming in on a slow
Yeah,
roller.
I think that's the difference for me. He's made
Yeah.
more hard plays than I expected. I guess that's the difference.
Right.
Like he
turned double plays fine. That hasn't been an
yes.
issue.
His arm, he has a great arm. I
Yeah.
mean, he
He has a
played
third
third
base
base.
arm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he has a good arm. So to be able to turn those double plays
Yeah.
is easy for him. And I'm surprised he hasn't gotten a run at third base at all, like on an Arenado day off or anything.
Yeah.
Maybe they're just like, we want you to focus on
Or
just
maybe
playing
that's
this.
the one time they feel like they can get Donovan in there.
Sure. But you could put him at second or short
Yeah.
and move whatever. Maybe they're just trying to just keep it as coherent as possible.
Look, nobody's talking about it because we love Tommy, but he's at some point he's got to be, you got to start thinking about, does he need a little bit more time, on the bench? I mean, I know his defense has been so good, but we've talked about it. He's been struggling
That's
for
my
2
point.
months now at the plate.
If Donovan and Tommy are both struggling for
Right.
2 months and Tommy's numbers are better than Donovan's minus the on base,
Right.
where do you go? I think the answer is Nolan Gorman.
Yep.
Like, I mean, and like you're talking about the same position. They all three can play the exact same position.
Yep.
And
Aside from short, Gorman can't play short.
right, but like it's like, but I feel like at this moment, Paul DeYoung is now locked in at short.
Yeah. You got to keep riding him until it flames out.
Until he is Paul DeYoung of yesteryear. But like, if those guys are struggling so badly, which they both are, batting, on like low 200s since July 1st, why isn't Nolan Gorman, who's batting 330 over the last 15 games, getting more run at second?
Especially against righties. Because Tommy, he has not hit. I mean, he's struggled overall, period, but definitely against righties.
Yeah.
And I mean, again, maybe it's more of they don't want to sacrifice the defense, but how much are you really sacrificing?
That's
because
my point.
DeYoung's always been pretty above average at shortstop.
Yeah.
You know what you're getting with him. He's never making diving spectacular plays, but the range is good, the arm's good. He's always solid. And he doesn't even have to make those big diving plays or anything to his right because you've got Nolan at third now.
Right.
Making those plays. So they got to start considering it, man, especially if Tommy keeps struggling like he is. I mean, I know he's a favorite. I know they love his work ethic. I know he's so, I think defensively at this point is kind of what's holding up his WAR value, it seems like.
Right.
Because, early on in the season, he was obviously hitting a lot of doubles. He had some power, but he was getting on base.
Right.
You and I
He was
talked
taking
about that.
walks.
He's taking walks, and that is not the case anymore, man.
Right.
I mean, he's even striking out a lot more on curveballs and breaking balls in the dirt. So
that's what I noticed that Donovan was going bad is like he's striking out a lot, and Donovan had more walks than strikeouts
right
for most of the year. Most of the early on in the year, and it's like, whoa, he struck out now 13 times over a couple week period. Like something is not right. I feel like they've both taken that dive at the same time, which has made it more difficult for them to figure it out. But you got to think about where this Cardinals team sits and how they're playing, but who's cold. The guys that really led the team early on, Donovan and
Edmund.
And then obviously Arenado was hot in April, and then not so much in May.
Right. June was again,
and then
since June,
yeah.
He and Goldie have been great.
But May was Tommy and Donovan.
Yep.
That's what got the team going. Well, those two are cold. Carlson has gone cold. O'Neill is cold. There's 4 of your lineup now is cold. Yeah. But the other guys,
Carlson and O'Neill were doing what we need them to do, we would give 2 craps what Tommy's hitting right now. What
it's kind of like Bader.
Doing.
Like whenever
anything we got from Bader last year was great.
Was awesome because it didn't matter because everyone else, like if it just didn't matter. You're batting 9th and you're getting on base. That's awesome, and you're playing Gold Glove defense. That's all that matters. Whenever the other guys aren't hitting, it all of a sudden goes, you suck, and we need to figure this out. But the other guys, I heard this like on the radio today. I can't remember who, but that on the Padres, there are 2 guys that are batting over 700 OPS. It's Machado and Soto. They have 700 OPS for the year. Plus, the Cardinals have Goldie, Arenado, Gorman, Yepez, Pujols. So we talk about how good that lineup is supposedly is in San Diego, but the Cardinals have all these guys with great OPS numbers. Way better than all those guys. So like if you can get 5 of those guys going hot, which they are right now, and then you can get some help from O'Neill and Carlson like they did yesterday, then you're talking about beating the bad teams like you're supposed to.
Yep.
And really taking advantage of the hard schedule that the Brewers will now be on for the next 10 days.
Yeah, they've got a tough one. I mean, we're in the perfect position to really like put the foot
I
on
feel
the
like we've been
gas.
saying that a lot.
We have. It started with the 7-game win streak and going to Colorado. I mean,
and lose 2 or 3. But then we got Colorado coming back.
yes.
So what do you
at
expect?
home.
What do you expect from that? Like, what do you expect? Like, what's the bare minimum?
I don't expect 18 hits and 16 runs. It better not be,
Yeah.
And so let's go. I want to say too, I do want to give some credit real quick. We didn't get to talk a whole lot about it, but man, was Waino just sensational Saturday or what?
Oh gosh.
I mean, he even said after the game, he said, I wanted to throw a no hitter.
He said after the second batter, he knew that. He
yeah.
felt it.
He said he knew he had no hitter stuff, and that's got to feel amazing because he was just locked in. And so that game for me, just to go on to lose that game the way that we did was rough for how well he pitched.
But he had struggled recently.
Yes, so that's what I was gonna say, to bounce back because he didn't have a good start
Yeah.
at that Yankees game that I was at. He only went 4 innings, gave up 5 runs.
Right.
Michaelis got shelled by
Right.
the Rockies. For him to come out yesterday, he was fantastic.
But his
yesterday.
ERA is like way better at home.
Yes. Same thing with Wainwright.
Right.
Yeah,
So they
both
both
of 'em.
pitch. So okay.
Now, but they're not pitching in this Colorado series.
Right. But
It's Montgomery, it's Quintana, and then
and their balls, they didn't pitch great in Colorado because of they talked about the
they
air.
move different.
They-
Yeah, your pitches,
So
spin rate's different.
we'll see how much that changes in the humidity of St. Louis. But
Yeah.
we'll see what that changes and how that goes.
And the Rockies just play good at home.
Right.
I mean, you can look at that this year too. They have a pretty good winning record at home, and they've always played well at home.
Yeah. I mean, that is like the big difference is, why is that the case? And it's obviously because they're used to playing in that big ballpark.
Yes,
And
Busch
so
is bigger.
And so like what
Maybe the home crowd's pumping you up more.
right.
You get more into it.
And they're missing Chris Bryant still, right? And they're missing these guys and they're still not hitting.
They were when we played them in Colorado
Right.
too, though.
Yeah, that's just, where
Yeah.
what's going to happen. So we have Colorado for the next 3,
Yep.
right? And then who's after that?
It was either the Cubs or the Diamondbacks.
There's a 5
Yeah, let
games.
me see here.
There are 5 games straight with the Cubs because there's 16 straight off after this
Yes.
day
So
off
we
today.
go to Arizona this coming up weekend for 3. And then after
Goldie
that,
loves to hit there.
yes. And then after that, next week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday is that 5-game set against the Cubs with the doubleheader on next Tuesday.
Okay.
So that's at Chicago, and then we're back home against the Braves. That's gonna be
Tough.
tough. That's
Yep.
gonna be a tough series.
But also I feel like the Cardinals at home against the Braves, I feel
They
good
usually
about
play,
it
yeah.
because they're going to get up
Those
for
are
the
usually
game.
good games. Yeah. And then we finish out the month at Cincinnati for 3.
At Cincinnati?
Yep.
I thought we were done being at Cincinnati. Maybe I'm busy that weekend because usually I try.
Well, it's a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. At
that's
Cincinnati.
probably what it is
Yeah.
because I usually try and go on a weekend to Cincinnati.
And our September, man, is just, I mean, Chicago, 4 against Washington, 3 against the Pirates, 2, just a little 2-game set at home against the Brewers, which is kind of weird.
Because they have to be odd, right?
Yeah.
Because they have to get an odd mount against each other.
Then you've got Cincy. You've got a 5-game set against Cincy at home, a makeup game, a doubleheader on a Saturday. Then you go to San Diego. This stretch is going to be tough. September 20th through the 28th. You are on the road, 3 at San Diego, 3 at the Dodgers.
But September 28th?
And then 2 at Milwaukee, the 27th and 28th.
But that's the end of the season, right?
Yes.
So
and then your final 6 games
are Pittsburgh. I know. You're
in Pittsburgh at home and then Pittsburgh at Pittsburgh. Yeah.
Okay, so September 28th.
That's a cushy schedule in
but
September
28th, the division should be wrapped up. Right?
You would hope so, yeah. If it's not, those 2 games against Milwaukee are going to be huge.
So I had one last bullet point that we haven't hit on that I have on my conversation list is are you worried about the bullpen? Now, we talked a little bit about Gio and Yoenis Cabrera, but if we do not fare well in that stretch of games that we just talked about, the 16 here minus Atlanta, but then also what you just laid out in September, is it because what's your biggest fear? The bullpen fails, the starting pitching fails, or the offense goes cold? What's your ranking 1, 2, 3 of what's most likely to go wrong?
Yeah.
To that we lose against these teams that we should be beating.
I feel like it's the bullpen.
I agree.
I think it's the bullpen for sure. I think the offense is the last thing I'm worried about right now, mainly because we're playing bad teams.
But you shouldn't say that because it goes so hot.
Yes,
and cold.
but even against Colorado, those 2 or 3 that we lost, we scored 5 or more every game.
Sure,
So, and they've been doing that for a while.
But is Nolan Arenado and Goldie,
Do they stay hot together at
are
the
they
same time?
due to go cold? At least one of them.
Maybe, yeah.
Because Goldie has been seriously hot since May, starting May.
Yeah.
He's been hot. He's going to, at this point, win the MVP minus catastrophic ending of the season. So, are those guys both going to be hot? Probably not, right? Nolan's due to go slide, or but Goldie plays so well in the second half.
I think what's encouraged me with those two. So again, like the game yesterday, I think they were like 1 for 8 combined. Goldie had a single or something, and
he walked, I think, too.
and you had other guys step up, and so it seems like lately when they've had like a bad game or two, it's been it, and then they bounce back, and then they're right back at it.
It's not a multi-day game.
So if they can even just keep doing that, I think we'll be okay. I think we'll be okay because Arenado he was great in Colorado. He had a great series.
Yes, and
Goldie was okay.
He was also the player of the week.
Yes.
So because of that,
Yeah.
And he did not look great yesterday, but obviously, again, you can take one of those.
And why did we lose that third game? Is the bullpen blew it.
Right. So okay, let's go back to my original question. So if you rank them of where your
bullpen
worry is.
But even starting pitching right now, I feel pretty good about.
I know, right? So
even after you had Waino and Michaelis struggle the last two, again, like for them to, it's their mentality. They're veterans. They know, we're good. I'm going to bounce back. Michaelis was fantastic yesterday.
Like Michaelis couldn't wait to get back on the mound.
Yes, and it was fun to watch because whoever Ashby for the Brewers, they both were just like, I'm ready to go. Let's throw the ball. Like it was such a quick game.
So for me, I think I would rank it as the bullpen, the offense,
for sure,
and then the starting pitching. I feel better about the starting pitching than I have in a long, long time.
Yeah.
Like Montgomery looks like a number 3 all day.
Maybe even a 2.
Maybe right. Like
he went 6.
But how do you feel
2
right
hits
now?
And 8 Ks.
How do you feel right now versus a month ago of Waino, Michaelis, Montgomery in the playoffs?
Feel pretty good.
Like over a month ago. What was a month ago? It was Waino, Michaelis, Palante, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Which isn't awful, Palante, but he, no playoff experience.
Right.
Never been on a big stage.
Montgomery with a beard. That's he's like I feel really good about those three. And then you had Quintana.
And then Jack's, maybe he's a wild card. Maybe, maybe he can come back, give you something.
Right. Like if Jack comes back, Hudson goes to the bullpen.
He has to, or he gets sent down.
Now Hudson,
like Woodford did, and they tell him to work.
Hudson did really well out of the bullpen last year. Was that last year?
He could be like a ground ball guy.
He was a very good ground ball guy.
Yeah.
I think that was last year, right?
He was injured. He came back late. He and Michaelis came back in like September. Yeah.
Yeah. So and he was a ground ball guy, and he did well out of the bullpen.
Yep. That wouldn't be off. And that was a little bit, and you can't be too picky because Mo made 2 really good moves at the deadline with the pitching. But I was a little surprised. And I even told you, I was a little surprised he didn't do almost a little more like he did in 2011, where he kind of just revamped the bullpen a little bit. And so, like,
maybe Stratton was supposed to be that. Maybe JoJo Romero was supposed to be that.
That's what I was going to say. So if we keep continuing with, Paquinotton's not good, Cabrera's really struggling, Gallegos is falling off, you're going to have to revamp the bullpen, and it's going to have to be from pulling from your minors.
Right.
It's going to have to be, calling
Zach Thompson,
getting Zach Thompson back up, calling a JoJo Romero back up. Who's this other flame-throwing kid we have? He's one of our top prospects, Pacheco or something.
No, you're
Tink's. He's not even 20
young,
yet.
Yeah.
He's probably not coming up.
Little Tink. That's what I keep on thinking about. Little Tink, and he's just gonna crush it. And think about that. We have Lars Nootbaar and Tink coming out there.
We got some great names right now.
Paquinotton, Lars, Taylor Tatsui, Nootbaar, and Tink Hentz.
I'm thinking of Gordon Graceffo.
Oh yeah.
Now he's in Double-A, but he's 22.
They think he's a roster guy next year.
He's knocking on the door. I mean, Danny has said like he could be a weapon right now for the bullpen.
Yeah.
And they're talking about him as he's a flamethrower, almost kind of like when Carlos Martinez first came up. They gave him some ride in the bullpen, and he was electric. You know what I mean? Brought energy, was striking guys out. That might be a name to look out for, man. If a guy like maybe Gallegos or Cabrera really keeps struggling, Zach Thompson and Gordon Graceffo could be your bullpen revamp. And talk about 2 guys, and Danny Mac said this, you get 2 guys that just don't know better, and they get up to the majors, they don't know what they don't know, and they're just like, I'm going to pitch, and they just ride it. Well, that's what Jordan Hicks did. Remember when Jordan Hicks first got called up? They're just like, we can't even let this guy. He just skipped AAA.
Yeah, he's that good. Like he's throwing 102.
Graceffo's been like that this year, man.
I think I told you via text, like, I felt more comfortable with Adam Wainwright going out there in the 10th than I
Looking
did.
back on that now, I'm like, maybe that would have been better.
Like, I felt more comfortable with that versus
making the pitch, like making.
yeah, like I think I'd rather Wayno lose it than one of those two
Yeah.
because you didn't have a good feeling going into it, and I felt like the ninth was the lineup was where it was supposed to be.
Right. He
And
went all in with all he did with the
in
changes
the
that he
eighth,
made.
and I think that was the wrong move. But
Well, absolutely, it
yeah,
was the way he did it, bringing
yeah,
Dickerson in, and that's what's tough with the Gallegos because, I mean, obviously it was a base hit. It was an easy double, the hit, but the route that Dickerson took, how
right.
long it took him to get the ball, and that's his fault
But
that
they
that guy
put
was on
Donovan
third.
out and left.
When you could have left O'Neal in for one more inning and pitch hit Donovan, and then pitch it like you could have done it differently where like O'Neal still stayed in, and then you get Donovan out in left field and you leave Newt Bar in right.
Right.
Like it didn't make no
It was
sense.
it was not a great
No.
Couple innings there for Ollie, but yeah. So that was like I just didn't feel good about Gio. I didn't feel good about Genesis. I didn't feel and then
you knew you couldn't go Helsley.
yeah, Helsley pitched 2 innings the night before. Like, who are you going to go to? And that
Yeah.
was the question. Like, and I think I tweeted out was, who do you feel more comfortable with, Wainwright in the 10th or anyone else?
Yeah.
And the answer was Wainwright.
Probably Wainwright, yeah.
The answer was Wainwright, and because you didn't feel comfortable with anyone, and Gio gave it up. I mean, and Gio has had, I think he has the most blown saves in all of baseball.
He struggled this year. He hadn't been as sharp. I mean, there was that one game that Yachty came out and kind of like leveled him back, and got on him. And,
Yankees, right?
yeah, and he has those moments. I mean, he's kind of like Hicks in a way. He has those moments where it's like, man, that slider is unhittable. You know what I mean? Like he looks great. And then he has moments like Hicks where it's like, and Hicks is this way. It's maddening to me. It's like, dude, you throw 103 and 104 with like no effort. Like, stop walking people.
Right.
Why are you walking people? Throw it right down the middle. Like, even if like make them hit 104.
Well,
if they hit a home run off 104, like tip your cap.
like even if it's center, like what does it matter at 104?
Helsley's done that.
Right.
He's gotten away with it this year. Throwing you can get away with mistakes when you throw 103.
Right. You absolutely can. And I kind of feel like that with Dakota Hudson with his nibble and go and
yeah.
ball. Like whenever
you got a good sinker, man. Throw it over
when he's attacking.
Start it over the middle of the plate and just let it dive.
Yeah, when he's attacking, he's a much better pitcher. And
look at us, we're like, this is so easy. Like, why?
What's wrong with you guys? Yeah, I mean, that's I don't know. That's where I sit with Hudson. I think that he's so good. Like he has this, like his ceiling seems really, really high.
Yeah,
and same with Hicks, right? It seems like you could be so much better than you are currently.
Yeah,
if you just throw strikes. And I think that's like oversimplifying what you need to do. But like if you look at all the data, it says first pitch strike throwers do exceptionally well compared to ones that don't.
And who are our best pitchers this year, and what do they do the best?
Right.
Michaelis and Wainwright, first pitch strikes.
They throw a lot of strikes, whether that's first pitch or later.
Helsley, same thing.
And if you look at the data based on balls and strikes, like counts, like different counts, like whenever there's
statistics, percentage of a hit, and all all this stuff.
Whenever you're ahead in the count as a hitter, the numbers are astronomically better. Well, what happens when you throw a first pitch ball? You're automatically fighting back, and so that it just goes the wrong way immediately. So if you can throw a first pitch strike 60% of the time, which is not asking for too much, I don't think. Like 70 is really high. Like if you can do it 60% of the time, you're putting yourself in a really good position to be able to do well.
Yeah. So you want to wrap up with like maybe a week guess of win percentage?
Sure. Let me ask one other question.
Because I said last week we're getting a double-digit win streak.
Yeah, I can't.
Got obliterated the next night.
Yeah, but so let's briefly. I'm gonna jump around here. So going on a road trip, the Cardinals are 0-8.
Rough on the road, man.
0-8 to start a road trip. So you say our next road trip goes to Arizona.
And then 5 in Chicago.
But the first game is where the Cardinals struggle. So will the Cardinals lose the first game to Arizona, or will they get their first win on the road to start a road trip?
I was trying to cheat and see maybe like who the matchups
yeah.
the pitching.
They're not out there
they're
yet.
not out there yet. Yeah.
There's obviously something
I wonder if that's like a travel thing.
That's what I'm saying. There's
You know what I
something.
mean? Is there like a jet lag?
Yes, there's something obviously going, or they're not prepared. They're
Right.
going out the day before the off day. They're going out. They're not. I'm not saying
And
going out
there's
and partying. I'm saying they're going
Well,
out
there's
and
no off
exploring.
day between.
Okay.
So you play Colorado Thursday. That's a day game.
Okay.
1:15 Eastern, actually. 1:15 Eastern.
Like
Yeah.
what on Thursday?
Yes.
Okay.
The
so
last game of the
then,
Colorado
so then
series.
Friday
at Busch.
they're in.
Friday's a 9:40 Eastern time game in Arizona, which is what? It's like 6 something
here.
there. There. It's like because they're like 3 hours
Yes.
behind us.
Well, us here in Indiana.
Yeah.
Yeah. St.
'Cause we're
Louis is
Eastern.
too. Yeah.
So that game ends 4 or 5 o'clock. I mean, it's a late. So you're getting in late, probably midnight, 1 a.m.
Right.
Getting to the ballpark.
I think it's good that there's not another. I think it's a different look not to have a day off.
Yeah, they don't have a day off between.
So I think that may be the difference. But then
actually,
the Cardinals,
they don't have another day off, man.
It's 16 days. It's 16
from now till it's more than that.
I think it's 16 games straight. 16 games maybe because of the 5 games with the Cubs.
So you're the first, maybe September the 1st. I think is the next
day off. Yeah,
day off.
So, they're 0-8 going to, and then they're 8-0 now in game 2 of a new road trip.
16 days.
So I think it's more of a focus. I mean, to me, it seems
it might be
very oversimplifying again, but it seems like more of a focus thing than not. All right, so I'm going to move on again. So my other thing I was going to talk about was we've been trying to give stuff away. I've been trying. No one wants to.
Yeah.
No one wants to win, but no one wants to get Soto. No one wants to.
Mo doesn't want to trade for Juan Soto.
No one wants to hit
Shohei Ohtani.
No one wants to hit a triple. I mean, sorry, a triple for the cycle.
Yeah,
I offered up those. So should we? What's more likely to happen? Paul Goldschmidt gets
wins
MVP,
yeah,
or he hits
Pujols at 700.
Oh gosh, ooh,
that's a good one.
That's a good one.
That's a good one.
Okay, oof,
11 away.
11 away, and people are really riding high on it right now. They
Yeah.
may not tomorrow. I don't know. It depends on what happens tomorrow. He goes over.
He's going to be in there tomorrow.
Is it a lefty?
It's Freeland, yeah. It's a lefty.
Kyle Freeland. So Kyle Freeland is from University of Evansville. He's from Colorado originally. I don't know if you knew that, Kyle Freeland. So it's his hometown team.
Cool.
Then he went to Evansville, Indiana, to play for the University of Evansville, and then he got drafted by Colorado. So I mean, that's got to be like a dream come true for him, right?
Yeah.
I mean, to play for your hometown, like your hometown team, which is awesome. Now, has he hit? He did hit one off Kyle Freeland last week. Pujols did.
I was trying to look for that.
I'm pretty sure that he did, because I was thinking now Kyle Freeland can say, yeah, Pujols, got one off of me. He did homer off of him last week in Colorado.
I think he did.
Yeah. So should we do that? 700. So what?
It's tough. Like, what is more likely to happen? Because I mean, who I can't even think off the top of my head right now who you would pick as the MVP after
Machado. Machado and Austin Riley.
Arenado's having a better offensive year than Machado.
Yes.
By almost every category.
And Austin Riley has been. But
that's the other one. He
Austin
might be
Riley,
the other one. Him or maybe Pete Alonso because of the home runs.
Pete Alonso,
and
yeah.
RBI.
So the last thing I looked at, it was Arenado was 5th in like votes, like if you like writers votes. Arenado was 5th, and then then there was those 3 guys in between. So Alonso, Riley, Machado, Nolan, Arenado.
Trey Turner's having a sneaky, really good year as well,
and they're the best team in the in the NL.
Mookie, obviously, I mean,
Mookie was for a while, but he's kind of fallen off of the radar of MVP talk for whatever reason. I don't watch a lot of Dodger games, but he's kind of had that. He's kind of fallen off that conversation, but I don't know. So if you waited this long, if you've stuck with us this long, an hour and 18 minutes in, if you tweeted us at That's a Winner Pod and just you can tweet on this video, you can tweet at us directly. Which one you'd rather us do?
Why don't we do? We'll do a poll. Let's put up a poll.
We'll do a poll.
We'll say, what do you think is more likely to happen?
Okay. And then
Pujols 700 home runs or the Goldschmidt MVP, and whichever one wins, maybe we'll do
a giveaway
if it happens.
Right. So you're gonna poll. So we're gonna let them vote on which one they want
for the giveaway.
The giveaway. So whichever one's more likely to happen.
Yeah.
And then we'll do a giveaway. I was thinking of other things I could give away out of this room earlier, and
you've got a lot.
There's a Build the Wit sign ball. You think anyone would want that or no? If they win a World Series again, they're like, yeah,
maybe, yeah.
But I was thinking of things I'd be willing to let go. Like, so the Build the Wit ball was one of them. But okay, yeah. So we'll do a poll. We'll put a poll up.
Yeah.
And we'll see which one people want, and then we'll do our standard retweet, friend, follow us and like, and then we'll make them comment something as well. Depending on which one they go with, then I'll have something with that specific.
Maybe have them comment. Yeah. What do you think they're? I don't know.
How many home runs Goldie will end with?
Yeah,
or
Pujols
win
with. Yeah.
Yeah. That's so in that line, something like that. Okay. All right. Now let's break down the last. So are you doing, how many games are you going to do? So it's like a 16-game stretch, but you want to do the next? Well,
Maybe the next week.
Okay.
I mean, it's Colorado, Arizona.
I was thinking
last time you play these West Coast teams, that division.
Yeah, I think there's
aside
11
from the
games,
Dodgers.
right? Is it the next 11 games are what are like the easy? I don't want to say easy, but like the easy stretch, isn't it 11? Like three with
5 with
Colorado,
Chicago to
5
wrap
with
it up.
Chicago, and then 3 with
Atlanta.
So that's where it is. So
And the final 3 of the month are at Cincy.
okay, so which one? What do you want to do? 11 or you want to do 11 or 14 games?
Let's do the next 11. I
Okay.
mean, which should be this easy stretch.
Atlanta's going to be tough, but I think the Cardinals will play up for it. So you start backwards from there, I guess. So Atlanta, but it's hard to play backwards because you don't know how they're playing going into that.
Yeah.
But I think at home, I expect to take 2 of 3 from everyone.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter who it is. Whether the Dodgers come in town.
We've got the second or third best record at home in
Is
the
it?
NL this year.
Is it? Yeah.
Yeah.
So like I expect the Cardinals to win 2 or 3 at home against anyone.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter who it is. And if it's a 4-game set, I expect a split or a 3 out of 4. I mean, that's what I expect out of the Cardinals at all times. Maybe
I think the wild card for me in this stretch a little bit is that 5-game at Wrigley.
At Wrigley, yeah.
Because you just never know.
Wrigley's kind of like Colorado at times.
And we had one earlier this year. I think we won 3 of 5.
But
right?
I also think back to the Yachty, DeYoung, fun
back to back,
and they just obliterated. And the Cardinals obliterated the Cubs last year,
Yeah.
17 games towards the end of the year as well. That stretch. So all right, let's go to Colorado first.
I'm gonna say 2 of 3.
2 or 3, I think is safe. It's Freeland. What do you know the matchups or no?
Freeland, Quintana. Then you've got Marquez and Montgomery. And then the final game of the series, you've got Cincinnati and Wainwright. Oh, wait. So Waino is pitching in that series. That's what's shown right now for the final
It's Quintana, Montgomery, Wainwright?
Yep.
Oh, my gosh. Like the way those 3 dudes are pitching.
Especially at home.
Right.
You would hope. I mean, a sweep would be really nice.
I how do you say no to that?
Thought we were going to sweep in Colorado too.
But that's Colorado. There's an X factor there. That you can't really.
And I forgot how good they are at home.
Yeah, there's an X factor there that you go. It's Colorado, and they kept saying that on the broadcast. There's Colorado for you. Like, okay, I'm gonna go with sweep.
All right. 3
so
Arizona.
You're gonna go 2, but
I'm gonna go 2 or 3.
Let me track this so then we can held accountable. That's one
So
thing.
Now you're gonna ask me what game do I think we're gonna lose?
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. I feel like a lot in
Man, we should win all 3 of these on paper.
That's what I just said.
Especially pitching wise.
What I think that happens a lot in bad take radio is that no one gets held accountable for the BS that they spew.
Yeah.
And so let's hold ourselves accountable. So I will say they will go 3-0 against Colorado, and you are going to say 2-1. Which game are they losing?
As sad as it is to say,
You're going to say Waino.
I think it might be the Waino one.
Okay, so
Cincinnati, if I remember correctly, he's a righty, hard thrower. Not great this year, 4.67 ERA, but I could see that being one kind of like the other day where we just struggle out of nowhere, don't get many hits. Wainwright still pitches really well.
It is Wainwright pitching. Yeah,
he doesn't get much run support. Same thing with Michaelis. He was more pumped than anybody when Carlson hit that go-ahead home run. He was like, finally some runs. I could, day game after night. I mean, I could see it maybe happening. I hope it doesn't, obviously, but that's where I might say maybe the offense
Sunday
goes quiet.
The Wainwright start. Okay, so then off to Arizona. We don't know the
matchups.
I
mean, given the statistics, we're going to lose game 1, right?
I have that as well. There's 3 games there, right?
Yeah.
So I'm saying 2-1.
First 2 are later games, and then you got a day game, 4:10 our time, but 3-2 something their time.
Yeah, I'm saying 2-1, and they're losing the first game.
Do you think so you think they win 2 or 3 is what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay. I'll probably go with that too. So are we losing the first game against the Cubs then? When we
No,
go
no,
there?
that's not how. That's not. It's all starting road trips. Is
Only the start of
the
the road trip
first
is there.
game? It's like a focus
Not the
loss.
start of every away
No,
game.
it's just the
Gotcha.
start of
Interesting.
yeah. And then isn't that
It's gotta be
weird?
a flight thing, or like you said, maybe if there's a day off, they lose a little focus.
Yeah, like they go out and they explore the new city. They did in Toronto. I'm
Right.
trying to think, like, if you follow any of the guys on social
Right.
media, they're all going out and having drinks and going to a restaurant, going to new
Yeah.
places they'd never been.
Which is good. I mean, I don't think there's
Sure.
anything wrong with that.
No.
Keep team morale up, keep it loose. But
Absolutely.
yeah, maybe it's a thing.
It's a focus thing. It's oversimplifying, I'm sure. But all right, so then
The 5 is Chicago. What do you think?
5 in Chicago. Okay, so one's a doubleheader. So I'm gonna just always go with the split in a doubleheader. I think is what
Yeah.
you always go for, right?
That's probably statistically what usually happens.
Right. And we don't know matchups or anything
Last
like
time
that.
we played a doubleheader against Chicago,
We swept
though.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
What is are they all day games? Where do we sit in there?
First one's 8:05 Eastern.
Okay.
And then you got the doubleheaders, which
Is it on national TV or anything? 8:05. It's late for Chicago and St. Louis usually.
I'm only seeing.
Okay.
So these are all Eastern. So it'd be
Right.
7 Central.
Okay.
Yeah, night game, first game, doubleheaders, 2:20, and then 8:05. Wednesday, so like I said, it'd be game 4's an 8:05 night game, and then
Nice.
the final game in the series is a day game, 2:20.
Where am I sitting now?
I'm
5.
I'm gonna go 3 of 5 because it's got to be at least that. For
Yes.
me. I mean,
So if it goes 3 and 5, I have them winning
by the way,
8
so just kind of counting down from Colorado, Wainwright should pitch in that series.
in Chicago.
Yes. 1, 2, 3, 4. By this count, it'd be one of those doubleheader games. So which probably means Michaelis is going to be in there somewhere too.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know how good the career-wise.
But you're also going to get Hudson now then too because of a doubleheader. You're going to run
Yeah.
more out there. So I'm saying yes. I'm saying 3 and 2 in that.
Okay.
So total, I have them winning 8 of 11. That would be very strong.
Yeah.
And you have them winning 7
Right.
of 11.
I had the 2 for Colorado instead
Now,
of sweep.
7.
I could see us winning 4 though in Chicago. I mean, it wouldn't
Yeah.
surprise me
Absolutely.
with how we've played there the last couple of years, and with how down the Cubs are right now.
So you going 7 and 4 in that stretch, is that what do you think that is?
I don't think that's enough.
Like 7 and 4 in that stretch, is that like a disappointing stretch of 11 games?
I don't think it's disappointing, especially if the Dodgers do what they've been doing to the Brewers, then it's definitely not bad. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'd feel way better about 8 and 3. Way better.
Yeah, it just has a whole different
Actually, you know
feel.
what? I'm going to go ahead and go. I'm
Nah, you're not
going to say we
switch it.
take 4 or 5 against Chicago.
Oh,
Put me
okay.
down for that. So no sweep for me in Colorado.
Okay.
But put me down for 4 or 5 against Chicago.
And the loss is one of the doubleheaders.
Probably so, yeah. I mean, that'd be the best bet for sure, especially if it's Hudson on the mound.
Yeah, and
Ugh.
we talk a lot of stuff about Harrison Hudson, that he usually gives, I wouldn't say quality start because it's not technically a quality start, but he gives usually 4 to 5 innings and he's giving up 2 to 3 runs. He gives them a chance to win. It's all about what the bullpen then does thereafter. Right? Like that's where he
gives them a chance if he's getting out of the trouble he creates on the walks.
Right, but I would say he's usually giving up 2 to 3 runs.
Right.
So if every starter gave you 2 to 3 runs,
5-6 innings, then yeah,
you're
in a chance to win for sure.
Because you're there, but it's all about then what does the bullpen do thereafter that puts you in a position to win. When Palante then goes 3 innings, you're in great shape. Now, can Jake Woodford go 3 innings to keep you in great shape? Can Zach Thompson, if you're bringing him up, go 3 innings and put you in great shape? That's why I still feel comfortable with Hudson, but it's all about then puts the weight on the bullpen, which we know then that hasn't gone as well. And that's why bullpen is our number one worry over the next 48 games.
Yeah.
Is because of that. But all right, so we both have them going 8 and 3. I'm sending you the text. It's in the
I'd be happy
it's in our
with
text.
that.
So now we have record of it, and then we can. But we've gone with the exact same thing, pretty much, except I just don't see. Look, Montgomery and Quintana have been great, and then you put Wainwright there as well, pitching in Arizona. That should be
Waino won't pitch in Arizona.
Sorry, I mean against Colorado.
He's pitching that last game in Colorado.
Sorry.
I don't know what the rotation is.
But at home, my point was Quintana, Montgomery, Wainwright
nails
at
home, man.
All 3 of them at home starting tomorrow.
And Quintana. No, I think I'm thinking of Montgomery. All of Montgomery's starts so far have been at home, both of them, right?
Yes, and he
Quintana
hasn't
had
allowed a run yet.
yeah, and
He needs
Quintana had one start in Colorado, and it did really well actually
Yes.
for his career. I mean, for how his career numbers were, he went 6 and with 2 runs.
Who starts tomorrow? Quintana, you said?
Yeah.
Okay, so
He went
on
3-1.
Wednesday, look for Montgomery. He needs 5 innings to tie the Cardinals record for a newcomer to the Cardinals
Right.
for amount of 0 runs for 16
That'd be
innings.
something, man.
Can you name the guy that has the record?
Was he like
He's
okay,
recent-ish. Yes.
he's recent?
I would have to look at the year.
Okay, was he like
It's a name
wa
you're gonna know, but he's not a starter.
was he
He may
oh, so he was a bullpen guy
Yeah.
when he did it with us.
Yes.
Was it Reyes?
No. He did really well for a while too. Remember that was a
That was
different
last
stretch.
year, maybe I'm
That
thinking
was
when he started the year, he had like 30 it was like 20 or something scoreless innings.
Yeah.
That first month or so, he went crazy.
Yeah. That was the most to start a year or
Yeah,
something
yeah,
like
that's
that.
what it was. Yep.
But this one is different. I'm looking him up to
Or it
see.
might have been like 20 straight saves or something that Reyes had.
Yeah, maybe that's what it was.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's I think that's what it was. I'm looking this guy up now. He is
Almost guessed Waka.
he's
maybe.
38 years old currently. This guy.
Okay.
He's played for the Indians, Padres, Marlins, Cardinals, Red Sox, Athletics, and Tigers. He's played for a lot of places. He played, I'll give you the years. Will that help you? 2012 and 2013 as a St. Louis Cardinal. And he started off his career at 16 innings with no runs, which is a St. Louis Cardinals record for a new pitcher.
Bullpen guy. Yeah.
He was traded to the Cardinals in July 31st of 2012 for Zach Cox, of course. I don't know who that is, but that's who the Cardinals gave up. He was used. This
Was he
is his
with
Wikipedia.
the Pirates before us?
No, we got him from the Marlins.
Hmm.
I'm just reading his Wikipedia, so I'm just seeing if I can just help you get there.
For a second, I was thinking like Bud
used
Smith
primarily
or-
in the 7th inning
Okay.
of games for the team. In 2013, when the Cardinals closer Jason Mott was injured, he became the setup man for Mitchell Boggs.
Good old Mitchell Boggs. I forgot about Mitchell Boggs.
Then Mujica became the new closer.
Oh, you said his name.
Edward Mujica.
Mujica. Yeah, he kind of came out of nowhere there.
He did that 2012 traded over, and then
I almost said Salas.
that would have been a
Salas.
good guess too. Yeah, he was great.
But he got traded.
That was
He
2011.
got traded with Freeze, right? To
Yeah,
the
I think
Angels.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Edward Mujica started off
Forgot about
16.
Mujica, yeah.
Started 16 straight innings
Interesting.
without any runs. So Montgomery needs 5 to tie, 6 to take that new lead. I would love to see that on
be cool.
Wednesday. Yeah, welcome to the.
Keep it going.
He was pretty upset leaving the Yankees, and now they've lost a lot, and the Cardinals are winning, and he could grow a
Worked out.
beard, and he can
He's in a weaker division. Way easier ballpark. to pitch in.
absolutely.
Yeah.
He might like I mean, did you see he took his pictures with his fiance, his proposal, I don't know what you call them, proposal pictures,
Yeah.
is like with
Engagement pictures.
engagement pictures
Yeah.
in Yankee Stadium with his fiance.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, and then got traded like right after.
It seemed like, I mean, it'd be tough answering those questions, right? Especially when you weren't expecting it,
Right.
And you've been with the same organization your whole career. And Bader probably felt in a lot of ways the same kind of way. Although I'm sure for him, it was kind of like, I get to go to my hometown team now. He's probably excited. But I could see, I mean, Montgomery seemed more to talk about kind of like, the team and how it felt like a family and all that stuff. So.
Yeah. Well, one other thing on Harrison Bader. So the video that was released, we haven't talked since that came out.
Players Tribune.
Yeah, and he came out and gave a nice.
It was well done.
Like we joke a lot about Harrison Bader and see ya, whatever. He wasn't that great, whatever. Things we like to say on
Too
Twitter.
flashy or whatever else you want to say. Yeah.
But I really liked him more because of the video. Like
it seemed very genuine.
Yeah. I think he was in shock. Paul DeYoung said he sent a group text.
Yeah, and they didn't believe him.
And they didn't believe him that he was traded. And I think that's how shocking it was probably to him as well. And he didn't release that video for a week or more after he was traded. And I think that's because he probably had to regroup
Yeah, it took him time probably to get his thoughts.
I looked up Edmundo Sosa when he was traded. He was with the Cardinals for 10 years. So I don't know where Bader was in his, Cardinals
Oh,
organization.
yeah, including minors. Yeah,
Yeah.
quite a while.
That's a long time. Then all of a sudden, all right, man.
When you're growing up, you're still a kid, kind of. You're still
Right.
young,
And then you're out of here. It's got to be a very strange, unless you're given like a heads up, like, hey, we're shopping you. But then that gives
They
you,
weren't doing that.
you're not going to do that because if the event that he doesn't get moved, then what?
Yeah.
Then
they definitely weren't doing that.
Yeah. And I think it was just a complete shock. But, that's a long time to spend with the team and then move along. And it's got to be very difficult.
Yeah, 10 years for Bader as well.
Russ, yeah. So he was in the organization for 10 years.
Since he was 21, 22.
But he's 29 now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Oh, wait. Sorry. It's always, it has their college.
The college staff.
College years in this too. It'd have been 8 years. 7, 8 years. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's a long time to be with one organization. And then,
Yeah.
I don't know if he grew up a Yankees fan. I mean, there's the Mets there too. So he
Right.
grew up in Brooklyn, which is closer to Queens than it is to.
Yeah, that video was really well done. I loved what he said about when he
Yachty.
came up and Yachty telling him like, hey, it's we care about winning. It's not, and him realized like, oh, this isn't about me anymore.
Right.
And
his New York accent. This isn't about Harris and
yeah.
Beta anymore.
Let me show this here. Let's see if we can throw this on the screen. Baseball reference. They're quick about getting the image up.
Hold on.
Can you throw that? Does it show it?
Yeah, give me one sec.
You see Harry there with the
With
the New York hat on. Let's see, that's not accurate because
Right.
he's still got the long hair.
Right. You can't have that.
Yeah.
He looks a lot different now.
That's great.
That's pretty funny.
Oh man. Yeah, that was cool. And then obviously, I don't know if you read, he wrote like a whole article with it too. So
Yeah.
there was more in that where it was well done. My sister was a huge Bader fan, mainly because she thought he was hot. So I sent that to her and she had the waterworks.
And what about your daughter? I mean,
she loves Bader, man. Yeah, I mean, he signed ball for her. That's
Right.
another thing. He's a fan favorite for a reason. He
Right.
played hard, but also like he took time to do stuff like that. And I think that was really cool. Yeah, he signed a ball for her once. Took a picture with her with a sign that she brought to one of the games in Cincy. So yeah, wish him luck, man. I do hope he gets over the plantar fasciitis stuff and he gets to produce for them.
And he only has one more year of arbitration. Right. So 2023 is his last season. So if they didn't think they were going to re-sign him, why, if there was something there that they knew they didn't want,
right?
They weren't interested in that, or even his money for next year.
Yeah.
Like if that wasn't the case, I think there's a lot more to it. But all right, what do you got? Anything else? Only an hour and 37 minutes.
Eventually, we'll get to where maybe we wrap these up in an hour.
Yeah, but why?
Yeah.
Well, what else you got to do?
Especially on an off day.
Right. It's an off day, off night. The game doesn't start until 7 o'clock tomorrow.
Yeah, 7:45.
So everyone has all day
Eastern,
to listen to this again on Spotify. You can listen to it on Spotify, on Apple Music, Anchor, Odyssey. There's other places.
It's everywhere.
It goes a lot of places.
Wherever you can listen to a podcast.
Wherever you listen to that, you hear my lovely voice to start it for an ad. Whenever those things, that makes us money. And then it gives us the ability to be able to give away some stuff as well. Yeah. We don't make any money on the stream part when you're listening live, but if you go back and watch it, we appreciate that, or listen straight from Spotify. We're going to put up the poll as soon as we get done here for what you think is more likely to happen. Then a giveaway will come possible from there.
Yeah.
All right. Well, anything else? You're done? You good?
I think that's it, man. Thanks for joining us, everybody.
Yeah.
It's always fun to do these on the off days.
Thanks for listening to That's a Winner podcast. I'm Ryan. That's Josh. See ya.
Shooter from the belt to the plate. A swing and a miss. And that's a winner. That's a winner. A World Series winner for the Cardinals. Smith corks one into right down the line. It may go. Go crazy, folks. Go crazy. It's a home run, and the Cardinals have won the game by the score of 3-2 on a home run by the Wizard. Go crazy. Swinging a long one into left field. Adios, goodbye, and maybe that's the winner. A 3-run homer by Clark, and the Cardinals lead by the score of 7-5, and they may go to the World Series on that one, folks.
What a team. What a ride. The Cardinals are world champs in 2011.